Still can't work out whether this headband makes me look like a turnip or not, but we're going to go with it, it'll be fine. Today I thought we would have a go at the musical theatre tag. Now I have no idea if tags are still a thing, if they're a thing that people do, but I found this one on someone's blog and I really liked the question, so I thought I'll give it a go and I'll tag some friends, and if they want to do it they can, and if not, the world will keep on turning. So just briefly, my name is Pippa, I'm a theatre blogger. I actually grew up dancing and training in classical ballet, and after being diagnosed with my chronic illness as a teenager, I turned my attention instead to theatre reviewing, and I'm now a theatre blogger among other things at Life of Pippa. Now at the time of filming this, it isn't looking likely that there are going to be any theatre trips for anybody anytime soon, so I thought this would be a nice way of kind of bridging the gap, because quite frankly I'm having withdrawal symptoms already. Question 1. What was the first musical you ever saw? The first musical I ever saw, technically, was Grease at the age of 7, but that was at Sheffield Lyceum Theatre, but I honestly have barely any memory of that. The first musical I can vividly remember seeing is Cats, and I saw that at Leeds Grand Theatre. What was your favourite musical growing up? Anybody who knows me knows that my favourite musical Wicked was my favourite musical growing up. I was obsessed with Wicked. Let's be honest, I am still obsessed with Wicked. Wicked is always going to be the one that holds sentimental value for me. That was the one that really hooked me and made me fall in love with theatre. Were you ever in a musical? Now, I don't think I was ever in a musical. I used to dance and I was very lucky. I got to tour with a well-known British ballet company. I got to be in a few ballets as a child. And I also did panto. I did community panto, but again, like, it feels a stretch to call that a musical. So yeah, community panto and ballet, but never like a regional or West End musical, no. I can't sing, so it's probably for the best that never happened. What was the first musical you saw on Broadway? I have only ever seen one musical on Broadway. I've been to New York once, and it was back in about 2011, I think. So I've seen one musical on Broadway, and that was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and it slayed my life. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. I suppose if we were to flip that question and say what was the first musical you saw in the West End, like I said, Wicked was my first love. I saw Wicked for the first time in the West End when I was 12, I think. If you could be any female character in any musical, who would you be and why? I had to think about this one. There wasn't one that immediately came to mind, but I think I would be Miss Honey from Matilda. Like, I love Matilda the musical, I love everything about it, and I think Miss Honey really goes on a journey. So you see her kind of go from that sweet but very like withdrawn teacher, and then throughout the process and having met Matilda and stuff, she learns to stand up for herself, and I just really like that. It's such a cool character. If you could be any male character in any musical, who would you be and why? Again, not one came to mind, but I was having like a flick through the programmes and I thought maybe Jamie. And it's not only because of the whole like Sheffield roots, although that obviously is a big thing because this is a very kind of Sheffield centric musical and I absolutely love that. But I think, to be honest, there's a part of me that just wants to be a drag queen. Favourite musical song to sing in the shower? I don't sing in the shower. I don't sing full stop, so it's probably not the most fitting question for me. Quite frankly, I think I'm doing a public service by not singing because it ain't pretty. But I thought I would twist this question because the other day while I was putting my makeup on, like, I like to listen to music sometimes when I'm putting my makeup on, and if you ever accidentally want to feel like a queen while you're getting ready, have the Gypsy cast recording on and have Rose's Turn come on, because when that comes on and you're sat there doing your makeup in front of your mirror, that is a tune. That is the ideal way to start your day. There are some weird noises coming from outside today. That doesn't sound like social distancing to me. Who is your favourite theatre actress? I would say maybe Gina Beck. So I first saw Gina Beck, I think, in Phantom of the Opera when she was playing Christine. And then I next saw her in Showboat. And I forgot the lead female's name in Showboat, but it was in about 2016, and I remember that was the one where she like broke me, like she made me cry so much. She's just absolutely stunning. And then again, I got to see her as Miss Honey in Matilda a year or two later. I think it's a combination of the fact that one, she's so talented and amazing. Two, she's played roles which I really love and have had like an impact on me over the years. And three, I was lucky enough to meet her once, and she was the loveliest human being, and it was such a welcome surprise, and it was so lovely. But then other ones that come to mind are Helen Wolf and Kim Ismay, I hope I'm saying that right. To be honest, like the current cast of Wicked is like my ideal cast. Same question, who is your favourite theatre actor? The one that came to mind, funnily enough, was Cameron Blakely, and I saw him as, I think I'm going to say this wrong, I saw him as Gomez, the lead male in The Addams Family, the father figure in The Addams Family, the musical. And honestly, The Addams Family, I'm so excited that it's hopefully coming back because that is one of my all-time favourite shows. But seeing him in that lead role, he was just incredible. Like, you couldn't take your eyes off him when he was on stage. Like, everything about him was just so spot on, and he was so charismatic and so humorous while still having that kind of dark, innate element of the character. He was just amazing. Favourite film adaptation of a musical? Now, I'm not qualified to answer this question because I'm really bad with films. I really don't watch that many films. I don't really enjoy films the same way that other people seem to do. So I think I'm just going to give a generic answer and say Billy Elliot, because I do like Billy Elliot. I do like that film, and that's one where I've seen the film and haven't seen the musical yet, and I would really like to see the musical one day. What do you think is the most underrated musical? Dead easy, Young Frankenstein. And it was one of those where I went into it not expecting to love it. I didn't really think it was going to be my cup of tea. I was so, like, pleasantly surprised is an understatement because it is just such an iconic musical. The humour is spot on. It's exactly my kind of humour. It has that really, like, kind of traditional musical theatre choreography and kind of, like, elements to it, and oh, it was just incredible. And it was supposed to go on tour in 2019, and I don't know what happened, but it never went on tour. But honestly, if it goes on tour or if it ever comes back, you need to go and see it. It is so underrated. The most overrated musical, Waitress. I saw it on the West End and I liked it and I enjoyed it and it was really nice, and the theatre smelled of cinnamon, which is always a bonus. The music was incredible. And it was lovely. Oh, I don't know, it was nice. I can sit here and say loads of positive things about it, but I just don't really get the hype, really. Sorry. What musical made you cry? All the musicals make me cry. I can't tell you every musical that made me cry because they all make me cry. But if I'm thinking about which musical made me cry the most, I think it would be Blood Brothers, which is one of my all-time favourite musicals. It's probably the musical that I've seen the most times out of any, even more than Wicked. I think I've seen it 6 or 7 times now. Like, the first time I saw it, I remember because I didn't know the ending, and the first time you see that ending and you don't know it's coming, it, like, I swear it almost kills you. And then the next time, like any subsequent times you see it after that, because you know what's going to happen in the end, you start getting emotionally, like, drained before it even happens, and it's just, oh. And the most recent time I saw it, which was last year, we saw Lynn Paul as Mrs. Johnston, and oh my goodness. It is honestly one of the most emotional theatre moments I've ever experienced. Like, when the curtain came down, she was crying. The entire audience at the Grand Opera House in York were crying. Oh my goodness. Like, me and my best friend as he came out of that theatre, we were like dazed. What musical makes you laugh? I would say Six the Musical, just because it's so witty and it's so different, like the lyrics and the plays on words and like the kind of the innuendos. Six is hilarious, especially for my kind of generation, and it's so different. And then the other musical that really made me laugh, which I perhaps wasn't expecting it to, was Come From Away, which is again one of my all-time favourite musicals. And obviously with such like a complex and devastating subject matter, like it's based on the kind of events of 9/11 and some of the passengers on board a specific plane, like you wouldn't expect that to be laugh a minute, but the humour is so on point and they struck the balance so right. Yeah, it's just, Come From Away has to be one of the greatest musicals of our generation. Are there any musicals you saw and hated? Yes, Dirty Dancing. I'm sorry. I think the cast were doing the best with what they had. I don't think the fault was with the cast, but I just think the production value was lazy, to be honest. Like, I think because it's such a successful film, there were just so many missed opportunities where they could have done really cool stuff with it being in a theatre setting, and it just wasn't utilised. Like, it was like they just tried to take exactly as it was on the screen and dump it on the stage. And the frustrating thing was, actually no, because it's a good thing for them, but like, because Dirty Dancing has such a fan base, there are people who went to see the show and they loved it just because it was Dirty Dancing rather than the actual production value of the show. So it was good that people still enjoyed it, but yeah, there was just a lot left to be desired for me. I was bored, to be honest. What musical do you want to see as a film? I'm 99% sure it's not a film already. Dear Evan Hansen, I think, would make a really cool film. And again, I'm going to be slightly controversial because I didn't love Dear Evan Hansen on stage as much as I thought I was going to. So I think it would be really cool to see how it was done in a film, because actually I have the novel of Dear Evan Hansen, which also came as a result of the musical. So the musical came first, but I actually preferred the novel that came after the musical, so I'm wondering whether I would also prefer a film. And to be honest, I think a film must be on the cards for Dear Evan Hansen, because again, it has such a strong fan base. Which musicals are you dying to see? What am I dying to see at the minute? Mary Poppins on the West End, I would love to see. Don't have tickets or anything for that yet, we're just going to have to see because tickets are pricey. And of course, Frozen's coming at the end of 2020, hopefully, given everything that's going on. Frozen is coming soon. I do have tickets for Frozen. I got a really good deal and I'm excited to see if that lives up to the hype. Any movie or book you think should be turned into a musical? I put Bally Shoes by Noel Streatfeild. One of my all-time favourite books, and one of the few books where it got turned into a film and I actually really like the film as well. Like, I just love the story so much and I think it's such a timeless story. And I think there are so many elements of it that could work really well on stage. Like, it's such an engaging story and it appeals to so many generations. I just think it would be really lovely to see how it kind of translated on stage. Honestly, if that ever got announced, I think I would just like drop dead. I would just stop existing. I would be so happy. And the last question is, what is your all-time favourite musical? And I want you to have a guess. It's Wicked. I think it's always going to be Wicked. Wicked is never going to disappoint me. It just has so much sentimental value for me. Like I said earlier, it was the musical that got me into musicals and I will always have it to thank for that. You grow up with it and you take one thing away from it when you're a certain age, and then you grow up and you take other things away from it, and it's just, there's so much comfort in that, I think. There are so many others that I've loved, like, so I used to love Kinky Boots. To be honest, I went off Kinky Boots a little bit after a recent UK tour performance I saw, which this is a topic for another time, we'll leave that. Yeah, Kinky Boots I love, Come From Away I love, Six the Musical I love. There are so many I could choose from, and I think the future of British theatre is going to be really exciting, but Wicked will always be my number one. I don't really know how to finish this video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really sorry I can't show you all my lovely programmes. Let me know what you would answer. I'd be particularly interested to hear where you kind of stand on the movies to musicals and the musicals to movie front, because I'm less experienced in that area. And you can also find loads more theatre stuff from me on my blog. I'm probably going to put this on social media, tag a few friends, see if they want to do it. But for now, thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.